Welcome into a Week 14 Giants Hangout brought to you by Crestron, Madeline Burke, Brandon London, and Jonathan Casillas hanging out as we look ahead to the Giants and the Packers on Monday Night Football. This is going to be a fun one, guys. I mean, Giants coming off a bye, but 2-game win streak going into the bye. Packers, they're on a heater too, a 3-game win streak, won 4 out of their last 5. This is a matchup that I think earlier in the season or a couple weeks ago, a lot of people thought, I wonder if this is going to get flexed. Is this, not going to be in prime time? But now the Giants' 5th primetime game of the season, and it's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, let's hope this game goes better than the other primetime games that the Giants played this year. Because them late nights leaving that stadium, man, those are long ride homes when they don't get the dub, man. And like you said, look, these teams haven't lost in the last 3 weeks. You see what I did there, guys?
Yeah. You don't play a game, you can't lose a game. Bye week. Yeah.
Giants, bye week, and they won 2 games. I think looking very impressive against the Commanders. Kind of a offensive snoozer against the Patriots, but a win's a win. Yeah. And the Giants only have several on the year, 4 on the year, and they had 2 in the last couple of weeks. So I'll take what I can get. Green Bay Packers are playing some really good football right now. I think the surprise on Thanksgiving, no matter what you ate, was that the Lions got the butts beat by the Packers on Thanksgiving, which is something that I don't think nobody would have expected. But when you watch them, Jordan Love is playing very high-level football. He's throwing the ball very well. Christian Watson went down last week with a hamstring. I think that's going to slow them down a little bit on offense. But, I mean, they got weapons. Reed is probably the fastest person on the field whenever he's on the field. A.J. Dillon is running the ball very, very well. So the Giants going to have a lot to handle on Monday night coming up.
Yeah, what did Drake say? The reward for hard work is more hard work. So the reward for the Giants of their hard work winning those 2 games is now the hype. The hype is back. You got the emoji, you got Tommy Cutlets. We got everybody's doing that. But now this game, if you don't show up and you don't produce this game, then those other 2 weeks mean nothing. Because with that bye week, this probably felt like the longest bye week I've ever been a part of in my life. Like all the Commanders game, the Patriots game, that felt like forever ago. So now they've kind of reinserted themselves into being able to have that hype and that expectation. And you get to do it on prime time now with everyone watching. Everybody wants to see, what's this emoji about? What's these cutlet sandwich? What's everybody talking about? Yeah. Now is that opportunity for you to get a chance to show up on a Monday Night Football game, prime time, and show, hey, this team's really not out of it. 2 games behind, 2 games out in that final wild card spot. So you got the storylines, you got the hype. Now it's time to shut up. Now it's time to put up and shut some people up.
Well, and also, too, I mean, coming into this week, Brandon, you mentioned the longest bye week ever because coming off a bye week and then a Monday night game. So it's almost 2 straight weeks. Obviously, the team is practicing this week and whatnot. But early in the week, though, Tyrod Taylor came off of IR. He got cleared to practice. He's good to go. And Coach Brian Daboll made it a point to say Tuesday, Tommy DeVito is the starting quarterback for Monday Night Football. Didn't leave that open to question. Didn't leave it open to competition or what have you, which I thought was a good way to set the tone for the week of saying, all right, we're going to prepare this way. Nobody's going to have any doubt as to what their role is going into this Monday night game. But you mentioned, the storylines, all that kind of stuff. Tommy DeVito has a chance to, some people are comparing him and what he's done with the Giants to Lynn Sanity. Not quite there yet. But, Jalen Hyatt talked about how he's really inspired confidence in this team. He's really inspired confidence in a team that's had quite a bit of adversity. As a receiver, Brandon, when from day one, this is the quarterback for this week, this is the hot hand we're riding, how much does that help you in preparing?
Well, it helps a lot because, there's continuity there. When you guys go through install and Tommy's sitting there and let's say Mike Kafka is installing a new play, you get Tommy's thoughts, you hear it. You don't have to worry about, you want to listen to Tyrod because something can happen and T2 could be in the game, but you want to hear things coming from Tommy. Tommy likes it to hear. Like if we break it at 15 as opposed to 16, you can get into that window for him a little bit faster. Then you go out to the field. You guys are running routes on air. You're running drills. You're catching balls from him. And especially if it's new routes, because you constantly, when you go through a bye week, you got to self-scout, you got to self-analyze yourself. So let's say you're running the under route, what Isaiah Hodgins scored on that last game. You run that under route on 3rd and 3s or 3rd and shorts. Now, as an offensive group, now you're looking at it, hey, we're running that under too much. Now we can go under and go. We can run some sort of whip route on that, a return route off of that. So now you guys get a chance to go out there and practice these new things that you're throwing in as well. So you get that confidence, but you just see the confidence in the locker room from everyone's social media, from Sterling Shepard to Isaiah Hodgins, posting the beer, the Tommy Cutlet beer and all that stuff. These guys are going to ride behind this guy. They're going to get behind this guy and they're going to go out and they're going to make plays for this guy. So it's great that Coach Dable did that and put that out there early. So no one has to answer questions about, well, who would you rather? Who should be in there? All you have to do is say, Coach said Tommy DeVito's the guy. I'm riding with the QB1. We'll go out there and play for him. So it makes it a lot easier on that sense. But at the end of the day, you all know collectively what's at stake on Monday, who you're going to play, and you guys want to go out there and put your best foot forward on primetime, because a lot of people think they're saying like, oh, you just played the Patriots or Commanders. Well, we could just play who's on the schedule. Now let's line up against the Packers defense that's been playing pretty well, that kind of held Patrick Mahomes in check for a bit. Now, Tommy DeVito, you in the pass offense, you guys are up. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, and the good thing, like the Giants have a quarterback controversy because you have 2 quarterbacks that could potentially start, right? But it's not like the typical controversy where you have somebody basically playing who's struggling. Maybe they're in jeopardy of losing the locker room, losing the starting job. No, it's the controversy happens because Tommy DeVito played very well with Tyrod just being hurt. You know, it wasn't that Tyrod wasn't playing well and he had to get benched or you had to figure out an option. It was his health. And now that he's back, Tommy DeVito's been playing so well. It's like, do we get off the hot hand or do we go with the more experienced quarterback, the quarterback that's been in the league a lot longer, throwing a lot more touchdown passes, won games, lost games, went to the playoffs, a guy that's dealt with really tough defenses, or a guy with no experience. So it was one of these things that the Giants were doing, and I think it had a little bit to do with looking forward towards the future a little bit. I don't think the Giants are sacrificing losing games this year. I don't think that's happening at all. I don't think that's the case here. I just think that to figure out what Tommy DeVito is with how he's been playing, it just worked out for Tommy DeVito, and the timing worked out for him. And I can tell that I love Tyrod. I think he's a tremendous football player, let alone backup in the NFL. He's tremendous as a backup. But I know he can win games for the Giants. I think the Giants are like, look, let's see if this kid, Tommy DeVito, this undrafted kid from Jersey, let's see if he's actually a quarterback that we can keep on the roster moving forward. And I don't think they're sacrificing losing games because I think I believe too, that he can win some games, which he already did. He won 2. And, he didn't look good early on, but that Commanders game, not only did he show toughness and poise in every single start, that Commanders game, I was like, oh, that kid can throw the football. He throws a great deep ball.
Yeah. He's not afraid to send it downfield too.
His intermediate route throwing, I think he's thrown, very good passes, in every game that he's played, even when he had limited throws against the Jets, and the Giants are putting themselves in a position where they can figure out the future of the quarterback position. And that is Tommy DeVito. Is either he's going to play very well and be on the roster next year, or he's not. And then it's up in the air about, do we have Tommy DeVito on the roster moving forward?
So, JC, like we hear it all the time from whether it be a GM or a coach, when they talk about like an older player, where they say, we're going to give the young guy the reps because we know what player X can do. So it's kind of like the same thing when it comes to like a Wan'Dale Robinson and Sterling Shepard. Can Sterling Shepard still play? Absolutely. The boy can still ball, but you're going to give Wan'Dale Robinson those reps because you want to see what the young boy is going to do going forward. I think it's the same thing when it comes to the whole Tommy DeVito, Tyrod Taylor thing. Plus you're riding a hot hand as well. So that made it a lot easier, but going forward, and like you said, the evaluation process to see what's going forward, He's throwing some good balls down the field, good intermediate routes. Now we want to see him get out the pocket. Now we want to see what type of athleticism do you have in terms of extending a play and getting out of the pocket and making some throws downfield and not taking sacks. So this is going to be a consistent evaluation process for him game by game. But at the end of the day, go out there and spend, young man, because you're playing with house money.
Well, and it also too, like speaking of money, this is the cap space comes into play when making this evaluation as well. Because if you're looking at next season, right? Tyrod Taylor's deal is done at the end of this year. Next year, do you go with a veteran backup quarterback, or have you found a gem in Tommy DeVito, an undrafted rookie contract that is going to be much less expensive and give you a little bit more cap flexibility to address other needs on the roster? So that's a decision that this team needs to make. And of course, like to the points that you guys made, these are all opportunities, and each week it's, you know, another challenge, a tougher challenge, leveling up. Monday Night Football against Packers, it's not quite Bowser's Castle, but we're getting there. And for Tommy DeVito, you know, going against this Packers pass rush, I mean, Brandon, you mentioned it last week, they played the Chiefs. They were getting pressure on Patrick Mahomes. They had 3 sacks on the reigning MVP. They held the Super Bowl champs to field goals instead of touchdowns. They put a lot of pressure on them, especially in that red area.
Yeah.
When you look at the way that this Packers defense has been playing of late, Casillas, especially, you know, Rashawn Gary getting the pressure, leading Green Bay with 9 sacks on the season so far. Tommy DeVito is somebody who's taken some hits in recent weeks, and this pass rush, it just seems like a next level. How does the Giants offense and the Giants kind of navigate that, prepare for that, balance that out?
Well, what I've seen from Tommy DeVito, he's thrown the deep ball, but a couple of those times I think he held the ball like kind of a little too long. And, you know, people are saying the offensive line is playing better. Tommy DeVito is holding on to the ball. Some are, you know, him inducing these sacks. And I think that's a fair observation. He does hold on the ball a little bit too long. And what I would like to see from Tommy DeVito is be more rhythmic, be more on time when it comes to throwing the ball. That looks like you have, you know, a better understanding of the offense. And I don't expect him to do that in his first 2 or 3 starts. But as time goes on, you know, and he's actually the starter, and he's actually understanding how guys are coming out their breaks, how route concepts are designed against defensive schemes, he's going to start understanding you have to get that ball out at a certain time. Or if not, it's going to be another 9-sack game, because the Packers, they don't just have one pass rusher. They have multiple pass rushers. I think Preston Smith is good. He's been good for a long time. And then, I mean, you got the kid right from Paramus Catholic, and Rashawn Gary is Paramus Catholic against Don Bosco Prep.
Lucas Van Ness too. Lucas Van Ness.
No.
They got a slew of guys that can rush the passer, and then also offensively, they can score points. Jordan Love can score points. They figured out a way to get their weapons involved. They lost their running back a little bit earlier, but AJ Dillon, he's like 250. The Giants and I know the Packers, they see what we all see on film. The Giants are struggling against the run. I expect them to get a full dose of AJ Dillon. Yeah, of course.
So that segues, so that kind of segues into it, like just to retouch it. So Tommy DeVito is going to have to be a GIF, not an emoji. And when I say the emoji, what is the emoji? Just sits there. He can't be a statue quarterback. He's going to have to be a boomerang. He's going to have to move when it comes to that. But the biggest emoji that's going to come down to win this game, to play into what you're saying, Jonathan Casillas, is the wink emoji. Wink Martindale in this defense is the reason why
I just know Brandon was practicing that line in the mirror.
The entire time JC was talking, I was like, I got that heat. I got that. Dylan, and Dylan. Like, but you look at the takeaways these past 2 games, what the defense has been able to do. Like, even when they were getting the ball back to the offense and they take that sack, or a game looked like it was going to be closer, or a team had a chance. Let's say if they scored, they get back in the game. Defense lights out. Cordell Flott punching balls out. Bobby Okereke catching interceptions in that sense. So I think the defense, this is going to be another game where you're going to have to load up, stop AJ Dillon. You're going to have to load up, stop AJ Dillon. We love what Jordan Love. Well, when I say we, receivers, we love what Love has been able to do But I think the Giants' defensive secondary matches up against these no-name hungry receivers. I'm not calling them no
And
name in terms
Watson's
of
out too. Watson
and
hurt his
Watson's out.
hamstring
So I
last week.
think there's the matchup right there. If you're gonna stop AJ Dillon and you can force Jordan Love, like again, I say force like he's just some sort of regular quarterback. This man's come on the scene. This man threw touchdown through three back-to-back, 3 touchdown games, the fourth time he's done it on the year. So, but he's going to have to be able to throw through tight windows going up against his secondary. It is going to be imperative that the Giants secondary wins this game for this team.
Well, and going up against Jordan Love, who hasn't thrown a pick in 3 weeks. I mean, earlier on in the season when they were on that 4-game losing skid, he had like 7 turnovers.
Yeah.
He's got that ball security, and the Giants, their key to success, their recipe lately has been their defense, winning the turnover battle specifically. And so if the Giants, are going up against Jordan Love, who's been protecting the ball a little bit more, how can they kind of make him uncomfortable enough to fall off that wagon, to start turning the ball over? The Giants can get those takeaways, win that turnover battle, because that's the key for the Giants' success. Is the defense playing at the highest level and the offense kind of doing enough, right, to keep the head above water lately. And that's not a dig at the offense. It's just an observation of the fact that, offense players will say that too. Yes, there's more that they could do. They could be putting more points on the board. They're last in the league in yards, but that's okay, because if the defense is getting the job done, the offense isn't putting the defense in a bad position. If the offense is, extending drives, maybe they're not getting into the end zone, but they're getting, giving the defense a little bit of time to catch their breath and watch the surface on the sideline before getting back on the field, things like that. It's a balancing act. But Monday Night Football, the bright lights. I mean, this is a young roster. Packers have a young roster. They're the youngest team in the league. This is just a different environment. Like, you guys have been around Monday Night Football, played in Monday Night Football. What is the vibe? What is something that you remember most about that stage?
Monday Night Football, it's exciting. Like, it's something, you look forward to. When you look at the schedule, you look at, the Sunday nights, the Monday Night Football games, but I was also talking about Tommy DeVito sustaining drives, because I don't think the defense is going to be able to create 6 turnovers like they get against Commanders. Yeah. Maybe they'll get a couple, but to create 6 turnovers like they did, that's an anomaly. That happens once a year, every few years, and the Giants, to be able to do that on defense, I think that's a lot to ask. But if the offense can sustain drives and they play the field position battle, they kick some field goals, score some touchdowns with sustaining some drives, that'll give the defense some chance to be human, because they you can't expect them to play that high level of turning the ball over 4.5 times the last 2 games. That's just a lot to ask. But what I do want to see them do better defensively is stop the run, or do a better job against the run, because against the pass, they're doing really well this year against the pass. But I expect them to go ahead and step up against the run and try to shut down AJ Dillon, because I think the Packers' mindset is going to be, we're going to run the ball on them, and Jordan, just don't make no mistakes, and we'll be able to get that dub on them, guys.
Well, and these two teams have some parity in that way too, because the Giants, the Giants struggle against the run. So do the Packers. Packers' pass defense is a lot stronger than their run defense. And Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this Monday night game is going to be one of those old school NFC 3 yards in a cloud of dust, run the ball games on both sides.
Yeah, it could be. It very might well be, because of the 2 running backs that you have in the backfield.
And it's supposed to rain too.
And it's supposed to rain. And it's supposed to be like 39 degrees, but it says it's going to feel like 25. Everybody bundle up. But what this game is also going to do, to kind of piggyback what you're saying, JC, is it kind of gives you a chance, if you're the Giants, to kind of rewrite the narrative almost. You get the chance to kind of rewrite your story, especially, again, you're 2 wins away from the last wild card spot. But the only way you do that is by doing the things what Jonathan just said, sustaining drives. So this is a primetime game to show the NFL that you can sustain drives. Me, Tommy DeVito, and this offense, we've been laughed at the entire year. Hey, this is a game where the defense may not get a bunch of turnovers, but we've sustained drives, and we put at least 3 on the board on that drive. Complimentary football. If the defense continues to play well, 2 turnovers, 3 turnovers, you get it 2 turnovers, you need at least 10 points out of that. Complimentary football. And then stopping the run. Is Dexter Lawrence going to play? Don't know just yet. But are you able to stop the run? Because that could be, if you can't stop the run against the Green Bay Packers, it's just going to be a long night because the play action and the things that Jordan Love, they're able to do, Matt LaFleur type offense, they're able to kill you with the smoke and mirrors if you don't stop that run game. So there's 3 things right there that you're able to kind of start to edit or bring in the red ink on your story to finish the story of your season. And you got the Saints. I don't want to look forward, but you got the Saints going it next week. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting for this game. And it's just which Giants team is going to come out on Monday.
And Brandon, you mentioned too, just being 2 games out of that wild card spot. I'm sure a lot of Giants fans watching this were like, okay, yeah, this and that. But the Packers at one point this season were 1-5. Now they're sitting at 500, very much in the playoff conversation. So how quickly things can turn around when you stack some wins. And at this point in the season, like November, December football, you guys know, is that important? Is that meat of the season? This isn't NCAA where you've got 1 loss and you're no longer in the playoff conversation, right? You can start
unless you're Florida State, who had no losses.
Florida man was just not in the mix this year. Not in the mix this year.
But yeah. I mean, and you look at the people the teams who are ahead of the Giants, like you're talking about the Seahawks who have the tiebreaker. You're talking about some of these teams. All it takes at this point, and I knock on wood because I don't root for it. You're seeing starting quarterbacks go down. You're seeing this is where a lot of teams get hit with that injury that could decimate the roster. That star player, that glue guy goes down. The Giants have been hit with so many injuries. They had already glue. What glue? It's all tape. It's Scotch tape. But you're just talking about now. It's like you win some games, you put more wins together. It's a wait and see type thing when it comes to the end of the NFL season. So again, 1 game at a time. Got the Green Bay Packers on Monday night, but you get a chance to rewrite your story.
Get your popcorn ready. Giants, Packers, Monday Night Football at MetLife Stadium. We will be there. We will be bundled up, staying warm and staying stoked to watch this game go down. 5 more games left this season, but of course, starting Monday Night Football. That's a wrap for our Week 14 Giants Hangout, brought to you by Crestron, Madeline Burke, Brandon Lennon, and Jonathan Casillas here every week. See you at the game on Monday, and we'll see you next week right here in the Giants Hangout.